Hello guys, Furball, the hammy, your friendly neighborhood hamster, is back again for another Hypixel Skyblock video, and in today's video I will be giving the final guide for all mage builds from floor 1 to floor 7 and the minimum I will recommend for those on a budget. I have been a mage main for the most part as I'm Catacombs 38 and Mage 38, and without further ado, be sure to subscribe for more Skyblock content and Windcraft videos. And yes, I have decided to expand my channel to cover the two mainstay MMORPGs in Minecraft, so feel free to stay around. I will be giving the minimum builds I recommend for each floor, and I know some people can do it with builds even weaker than my minimum builds, but I'm basing these builds off the average Catacombs player doing the floor. For example, is it possible to beat floor 1, 2 and 3 without any armor or just lapis armor? Yes, it is possible, but would I recommend it? No, because the average player wouldn't be able to do it. So if you can beat the floors with less than the minimum builds, kudos to you, and this is just a general guide. Lastly, when I say zombie soldier armor or super heavy armor, you don't need to buy the legendary versions, but just the high quality epic versions, which you can see in the item quality down below. First up, for floor 1 to floor 3, the recommended gear would be Bonzo Staff or Epic Dreadlord Sword with a Voodoo Doll, Zombie Soldier Leggings, chest plates and boots with dark goggles or Bonzo Mask. If you are not Catacombs 9 to use Zombie Soldier armor, pay for carries or just use Wise Dragon armor for the time being to get Cata 9. You will be squishy, but bear with it until Cata 9, it isn't very hard to get Catacombs 9. Also, I recommend just buying the Spirit Scepter because you wouldn't be grinding floor 1 to 3 for that long, and Bonzo Staff will soon be rendered useless after floor 3. Pets should be the Sheep Pet with Textbook or Dwarf Turtle Shellmet. Reforges on armor are Necrotic and Loving on chestplate. Talismans can be reforged to Demonic if you want to maximize mana, but unnecessary, and Berserker or Melee reforged talismans will be used for mages on floor 6 and above. Next up, for floor 4, I recommend Spirit Scepter with Voodoo Doll, Zombie Soldier chestplate, leggings, boots, cheaper than Adaptive armor and works just as fine, Dark Goggles or Bonzo Mask if you are dying. Pet should be Sheep with Textbook or Dwarf Turtle Shellmet, your choice. The reforges would be the same with floor 1 to floor 3 and the same reasoning applies. For floor 5, it is still possible to beat with the floor 4 build I gave you, and I have done so when I was Catacombs 25 when floor 5 was first released. But if you are still finding trouble and dying, use this build instead. Super heavy chestplate, leggings, boots with dark or shadow goggles. You can swap the leggings and boots with necromancer pieces if you're richer, and remember that the builds here are the absolute minimum or close to the minimum budget. You can try to be fancy and go with necromancer armor or even storm armor if you're that rich. The weapon is the same as Spirit Scepter and Voodoo Doll. Left click mages isn't used in floor 5 but instead in floor 6 and 7, so keep your talismans as demonic, or you can just use Berserker or left click talismans since you still have enough mana anyways with Necrotic and Loving. The pet should be the same, having Sheep with Textbook or Dwarf Turtle Shellmet, your choice. For floor 6, most mages struggle here with survivability here as the common issue, so I do recommend you to swap your talismans to shaded on commons to rares and strong on epics to mythic rarity talismans for lifesteal and left click mage during the boss fight. For weapons, Spirit Scepter and Voodoo Doll for clearing with Livid Dagger if you want to speed up mini boss kills or are dying in terracottas. For armor during the regular dungeon, Dark/Shadow/Wither Goggles, Super Heavy Chestplate or 5-star Wise or 5-star Young Chestplate with Necromancer Leggings and Boots or Wither Leggings and Boots. Wither armor has the same stats as Necromancer armor but better for floor 7 and the same for floor 6. Reforges are Necrotic and Loving. Pets should be Sheep with Textbook or Dwarf Turtle Shellmet. And if you're able to survive with the dungeon build above during the terracotta phase, feel free to ignore this, but for those who die in the terracotta phase or want to survive terracottas without healers or for whatever reason, continue listening. Armor during the boss fight will be Mender's Fedora with the same armor used earlier. I know, odd choice, but trust me, it's better than using a Necromancer helmet. I used the Fedora back when I struggled without a healer in floor 6. Next up, use Overflux or Mana Flux from you or your teammates. Use the Livid Dagger to left click the terracottas for healing, or use a 5-star Withercloak Sword to gain extra defense during the terracotta phase. Pet used here can be Epic Turtle for budget players holding hardened skills if you still need even more defense, and for wealthier players, Whale, Griffin and Ender Dragon are all great pets during this phase for more EHP or for more damage for lifesteal with the Griffin and Dragon. And finally for floor 7, I will give you guys 2 builds, the minimum and the endgame floor 7 build. For the minimum build, I do recommend with the goggles or shadow goggles and reinforced or giant bonzo mask with spirit mask for phase 1, 2, and 3. With the leggings and boots with super heavy chestplate or 5-star wise chestplate, necromancer leggings and boots can also be used if you are really on a tight budget, but it will be tougher during the boss fight since they are all withers. 5-star Yeti or 5-star Midas with the Spirit Scepter. Ice Spray 1 is amazingly worth but not necessary, but I will still strongly recommend it. Reforgers are loving and necrotic, talismans should be shaded and strong. Pet can still be sheep pet with textbook or dwarf turtle helmet. If you are dying in a boss fight, use spirit mask or bonzo mask, and if that doesn't work, hold a 5-star wither cloak sword for even more defense, and if that still doesn't work, use turtle or whale pet holding dwarf or hardened scales. And if you can still die with all of that, I think it's not your gear's fault anymore, but your team's fault or your fault. And for the maximum build or the build you may want to work towards for endgame for mages, I recommend the Hyperion with 3 scrolls, storm leggings, chestplate and boots with shadow goggles, ice spray wand, sheep pet with Minos relic if you have chimera on your sword, if not, use wither skeleton if you don't have chimera or can't afford it, whale pet and bonzo mask for phase 2 entry if you are paranoid like me. And with that, these are basically all of the builds I will recommend, and I do hope this video helped you, and if it did, be sure to leave a like and to subscribe, and this is Furfsky the Hammy signing out. See you guys around.